Brian Lehrer on WNYC. And to end the show today, let's talk about lines, not the ones from geometry class, the ones snaking down the sidewalks all over town as we wait to buy whatever has been deemed unmissable this week, be it frozen yogurt or pizza or what have you. New Yorkers have always stood online, and remember we say online in New York, not inline, for something or other, but lately the lines seem more numerous. And to those not on TikTok, probably more random. This phenomenon happens to be the cover story of this week's New York Magazine, and its author, features writer Brock Collier, joins me now to talk about why this is happening and why the wait might not be about what you get to purchase at the end, at least not solely about that, or as much as having waited for it. Hey, Brock, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Brian. Thanks so much for having me.
So your cover story this week asks, what are we waiting for? Could you rattle off some of the many lines you joined in reporting this story? What's hot?
Oh my gosh, there are so many lines across the city. People are waiting for frozen yogurt. The frozen yogurt lines are really the strongest this summer, but also pizza and katsu sandwiches and ice cream and Swedish candy. I mean, it seems like almost everywhere you turn in the city, especially across the Brooklyn waterfront and downtown, people are waiting in a million lines for a million different viral snacks.
So listeners, tell us your waiting online story. What were you last online for something special? You know, not at the post office or the DMV, something special, right? And what led you to wait for frozen yogurt or whatever it is when maybe those aren't the most exotic things in the world? 212-433-WNYC. Tell us your waiting online story, or maybe you work at a place where there weren't always these lines, but all of a sudden, holy moly, it's going around the corner. 212-433-WNYC, 212-433-9692. Call or text with your waiting online stories. What's TikTok's role in this?
I mean, I think TikTok basically functions these days kind of like how Yelp used to function. I think a lot of people use it as kind of a guide to what they should be eating or drinking in the city, and it can really blow these places up. I talked to several business owners who own businesses that are kind of known for their lines, and it's a mixed blessing. I mean, I think on the one hand, if a TikTok is made about your business, it means that you can make good business. I talked to the owner of Butterfield Market on the Upper East Side, who sold 40,000 cups of frozen yogurt in the month of June alone. So there's perks to TikTok. And of course, it can also be a bit of a hassle. So many of these businesses have had to learn how to manage the lines. I talked to one business who got so overwhelmed, they had to ask the creator of a TikTok about them to take the TikTok down because they simply could not meet demand. So TikTok, I think, is really powering so much of this.
Yeah, and even Saturday Night Live did a skit about our lines.
Yes.
Here's a 30-second bit.
Wait in a big dumb line, look girls, there's a crazy line for a bagel that went viral, for a pizza that went viral, for something called creamy tacos. We're waiting in a fat ass line.
Isn't New York amazing? Where else can you look up trends on TikTok and then go,
Wait in a big old line, a big old line.
Hey girl, what are we waiting for?
Gummy bears from a pop-up store.
Have you been here long?
Yeah, since 7.
I've been here since 2011.
It's a fat ass line.
Must be worth it, it's a really long line.
Tells the story, right? Kind of?
Yes. Yes.
While it mocks it.
Yes. I talked to Chloe Feynman, whose idea it was to make that video. And, what was funny to me is, the kind of gist of that skit is at the end, you've waited all this time for kind of an okay dollar slice of pizza. And something I enjoyed that she told me is that she actually loves all of these lines and she thinks all the product at the end of them is usually worth it. So I do think that was one discrepancy between my story and the skit.
That's funny. Well, what about for a meh dollar slice of pizza. Or you mentioned Butterfield Market. That was going to be my anecdote because I happened to pass by there recently and I saw a long line for frozen yogurt. And my theory was it had something to do with Dubai chocolate topping that they were offering as one of the options. But I mean, it's not like frozen yogurt is anything new. So what is it? Is it that a food influencer on TikTok says, hey, I was at this place and I had this thing and it was really good, and suddenly people are flocking there for that reason?
I asked almost everyone I spoke to kind of give me their reasoning for why they thought this was happening. The most common one, of course, was TikTok. But I think that there are other things kind of happening in the culture. I think, so many people work from home now. They have more time in the middle of the day to step out for 30 minutes and, check their emails and wait in line for something. One young woman told me she felt like all the other young women were really into frozen yogurt because it's a healthier treat in the age of Ozempic. Another business owner told me he felt like, in times of financial downturn or financial distress, people spend money on small luxury items, so maybe a $14 cup of yogurt is something special. So I think there's a few things going on.
Harley in Queens, you're on WNYC. Hi, Harley.
Hi, how are you?
Good. You got a story for us?
Yeah, so my dad is in the leather business, and he's basically retired now, and for fun was making these leather tote bags. He's been doing the markets on Fridays and Sundays in the city, and a TikTok influencer posted that she found my dad, and it's been about 6 weeks, and he went viral. So people are waiting in lines every Friday for my Peter bag.
There we go. Thank you for sharing it. And I guess being with New York Magazine, you wrote this as a New York story, but here's a text that says, also in New Jersey. Turns out this phenomenon exists in New Jersey. Also, my daughter and I went to get a sandwich at a place in Verona, and an influencer apparently had just talked about it, and there was like an hour and a half line, and they weren't even going to have the sandwiches that we wanted. By the time we got there were none left, so we left. So, not just a Manhattan thing, right?
All over the world.
You do write about some of the lines of the past, like Hamilton tickets, Shake Shack when it was new, Cronuts. How do they compare to the lines today?
I mean, I think they were very similar, but TikTok is such a force that those lines seem somewhat meek in comparison. Though I did speak to Dominique Ansel, who, of course, created the Cronut, and he told me in 2013, of course, there was no TikTok. It went viral because, he took a grainy iPhone photo of it and someone wrote about it on a blog. But even back then, he said he would get death threats every morning and have to clean them up from people who were just so desperate for the Cronut that they didn't want to wait in the line.
That's funny. Here's a text from apparently a happy customer. It says, waited online to get into a perfumery. Is that how you say it? Or perfumery? And it was worth it. Found my new signature scent at Scent Bar on Elizabeth Street. They gave it in paper umbrellas to help. They gave us paper umbrellas to hide from the sun. So how about that one? A perfumery drawing a lot of lines.
That part of town, I think Nolita especially, I mean, you can't walk around there on the weekends without seeing a line.
We have to address this eventually. Did you come across anyone saying they were waiting in line? And I'll admit, I do that. Or is it still strictly an online town? That used to be the thing, right? New Yorkers say online. In the Midwest, they're more likely to say in line. But I think we say online for being on the web these days. And I've just kind of switched to saying inline so I'm clear. Does anybody say online anymore for standing online?
Oh, for sure. Let me tell you, this caused nearly a war in our office this week. We debated whether you say online or inline. And of course, I think most of the native New Yorkers said online. I'm from Tennessee. I say inline. And I think most of the people I talk to said inline. But it is definitely a big source of debate.
Wait, one's a kind of skate, isn't it? Anyway, I mentioned that the purchase might not be the real point of the endeavor. So let's talk about what some of the people who are, there feel like they're getting out of all that standing online itself. You wrote, quote, "The line people are happy. They're getting dessert." What else are they getting?
I mean, I think a lot of people felt like they were getting some kind of community. When I would ask people why they were waiting, one of the most common answers was, well, it's Monday night, it's 9 p.m., what else do I have to do? And I kind of felt for them. We get everything so easy these days on Amazon or Uber Eats, and people can be so persnickety about people waiting in line. But I don't know, forcing yourself to wait and get out of your house, at the end of the day, I didn't really see any problems with that.
And there's FOMO, right? Fear of missing out.
I mean, a lot of people told me, I was just walking down the street and I saw this line and I've never heard of this froyo shop, but other people are doing it, so might as well figure it out myself. And I think that's also a relatable impulse. When you see so many people wanting one thing, you can't help but, want to get your hands on it yourself.
Chris in Montville, you're on WNYC. Hi, Chris. Have a story?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. So can everybody else.
Okay, great. Yeah, I was saying to your screener or producer, you mentioned that this can happen anywhere. I'm a long-time commuter to New York, and I witnessed the beginning of places like Magnolia and so forth when it really wasn't about online. But I do note that this can happen anywhere. There's a town next to mine called Wayne, New Jersey, which, the biggest thing it's got going for it is it's got a park and ride into the Port Authority. Of late, like the last 2 months or so, nondescript little building that could easily be residential, there's a clutch of 12, 15 people waiting outside, and I wondered, what is that? And the sign says a saucy cup. And I thought, is that coffee? Are they stopping to get, some really, really good marinara? I couldn't figure it out. So I looked it up, and it's halal coffee. And it's just really interesting that it doesn't really seem to matter the what so much as the buzz. I'm sure it's really good, but I mean, we obviously don't want for coffee shops anywhere in America. But it was just very interesting and I
certainly
took
not
note of it. And
New Jersey, including Wayne. I know Wayne out I-80. We're going to have to give somebody from Wayne equal time now that you've dismissed them as nowhere.
If I see it out there again, I'll probably have to stop because it's been like 4 times
Chris.
now. And
Thank you very much. And you know what? Chris in Montville gets the last word. We thank Brock Collier, features writer at New York Magazine. You can read their article on our online culture in this week's issue with your phone or tablet. Why not read it online while you're standing in line? Brock, thanks a lot. This was fun.
Thanks so much for having me.
Brian Lehrer Show is produced by Lisa Allison, Mary Croak, Amina Cerna, Carl Boisrond, and Esperanza Rosenbaum. Our summer intern is Mariana Schultz. Zach Goddard-Cohen produces our daily politics podcast. Megan Ryan is the head of live radio. Juliana Fonda and Milton Ruiz at the audio controls. Stay tuned for all of it.
WNYC's journalism and storytelling is heard by millions of passionate listeners. Sponsors of our programming gain our listeners' attention and their respect. Learn about how your organization can support WNYC and WNYC Studios at sponsorship.wnyc.org.
The United States is about to mark its 250th anniversary.
And so, on the Global Story podcast from the BBC, we're telling surprising tales of American influence on the world stage and in ordinary people's lives all across the globe.
We have this ability to export our story, and a lot of people have bought it.
I feel like the American dream is alive but not well.
From the BBC, it's the United States at 250.
Listen wherever you get your podcasts or find us on YouTube.